Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is In Truth and in Spirit World of Worship Fellowship. It is Thursday, the 26th of March, 2026. The time is 6 or 21 past 6. We are a non-denominational fellowship. Every Thursday we have topical discussions. Every Monday we have again topical discussions, or sometimes Q&R or questions and responses. We have a physical fellowship every Saturday at Inspire Cafe or wherever we advertise around town. So please find time and join us. Today we have a topic that we would like to discuss, and it's the title is okay. That is what we are looking for. The title is when the pastor sins. That's what we're going to be looking at. When a pastor sins, that's what we'll be looking at. So we will be looking at the following questions. Who is a pastor? We'll be trying to answer that question. And then, who is your pastor's pastor? I think given what we'll be discussing, that also will be important. And then we'll also be asking, is a pastor also a sinner? Okay. We will also be asking, should a pastor sin differently? That is, if the first question is responded to be a yes, that is a sinner. Should that sinner pastor then sin differently from other sinners who are not pastors? We'll be also looking at that. Then we will also be asking, how do we help a sinning pastor or a pastor that has failed? And then finally, we'll be asking, should a pastor's failure be publicized? That is, in the event that he has failed or sinned for that matter, should his sin be discreet or should it be publicized? That is what we'll be looking at. Allow me to take you through a few matters. A pastor, who is a pastor? I'll be, of course, giving you these definitions. Then you people will also give us your responses, how you understand or who you understand a pastor to be. Praise God. Amen. A pastor is a vocation derived from an existing vocation, which comes from keepers of livestock, and the term is deduced from the relationship between those domestic animals like sheep, goat, cow. So the herdsman who finds grass and water and protects these animals is known as a shepherd. So it is from that shepherd that we get our pastoral vocation. Of course, in the New Testament, there's a pastor. Okay, there is an overseer or sometimes bishop who is still also a pastor. There is also a presbyteros or an elder who can also be a pastor as well. So when you read Acts chapter 20, verse 17 to 28, you will see that vocation there. And 1 Peter 5:1-4. And of course, the pastoral ministry is also deemed to be a gift also from God. So the core functions or the responsibilities of a pastor is to feed, to protect, to lead, and care for the flock of God. John chapter 21, verse 15 to 17 also indicates that, for those of you who are interested in reading that. It is also important to understand what pastor does not stand for. Pastor is not a rank, and pastor is not a title. And I think this is very important to mention so that people understand what we mean. Pastor is not a rank, and neither is it a title, but it is a calling, and it is a relationship. Therefore, you are not allowed to address anyone who is not your pastor as pastor. Let me say that again. You are not allowed. Of course, there is no penalty and punishment, but it is wrong for you to address anyone who is not your pastor as pastor, because pastor is not a title, neither is it a rank. It is not. However, it is a calling and a relationship. That is why Jesus said that my sheep know me and they hear my voice. So you must belong to that flock for you to address the shepherd of that flock as your pastor. But unfortunately, in our generation today, pastor is a title, etc., etc., etc. So it is a relationship. The person you address as your pastor must be ministering to you spiritually, or even in other spheres that mandate that vocation in your life. So it is not a rank, neither is it a title. The qualification of being a pastor, of course, those we can go through. Maybe time will not allow today, but a few of those are: one, maturity, both in life and in spirit. And I was avoiding to say in age, because sometimes it is not so much about the age, but you have to have that maturity and in life at least. And what we mean by that maturity in life is that that kind of person must be knowledgeable. They also must have at least a particular acceptable characteristic qualities. Okay, they must be self-controlled. That now, so that is pastor for you. That is a pastor for you. So it is important for us to understand who a pastor is. Now, that is an entire gift in the Bible. We can spend the entire session today talking about who a pastor is, who they should be, etc. But for purposes of this discussion, I just wanted to give you that information for you to base on that, so that you have that discussion. Now, now that I have members here who have actually reported, I don't know those who can talk, but I think I'll be mentioning other things as this discussion continues. For now, I would like to hear from any one of you who would like to participate in this discussion, and then we move from this point to another. You're welcome for those of you who have joined, and the others who are listening in across the world, you're also welcome. Those who can join, please, it is always the same link in case you hear an audio recording or you visit our YouTube channel. These sessions are recorded and they are uploaded on the YouTube channel. We normally use two languages here. We use English, and then some sessions we use Luganda. So blessed are those who can speak in tongues, and woe unto those who are restricted to one dialect. But either way, we still minister to all nations and all world. Good. That's why you come in Utembana.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Hey, okay.
Mm,
Uh me, I'm going to look at it in a bigger picture
mm,
of not only focusing on a pastor, but
mm.
I'll look at a leader because
Okay.
eventually pastors fall they eventually become leaders of the people that they are pastoring. So why I was actually bringing in this issue, let me first try to build this.
Mm,
Leadership does not allow any mediocrity,
mm,
and it doesn't give room for any mediocrity. Leadership does not allow you to gamble or to gamble. You must know your things. And whenever you're leading the people that you're leading, you
mm,
have to be specific because the goal, the vision, the what, and then you don't have to meander anywhere. You have to be focused. Now,
mm,
it is from that people follow you because the people that follow these leaders, they follow them with their heart, with their soul, with their mind,
mm,
fully, without leaving anything. This person
mm,
decides to follow this person because probably he has been convinced by his ideology or he has
mm,
been convinced by whatever message that this person is portraying.
mm,
Eventually, the follower has decided to wholesomely follow this leader. So,
mm,
when Jet mentioned LG White and then you're disputing it, that is the example I wanted to bring in because whenever a leader or a pastor
mm,
misses on that one thing, either the mission or the whatever he says, if
mm,
you're walking to the north and the leader takes you to the east, the people that are following him or her are going to take that route. And if Aaron G. White said there are some people who are eating food, who are eating at certain times, I think that was a point of discussion, not because of science, but because their leader told them to do that. And some of them even could even be medical doctors or nutritionists, but they cannot even refer to their professional knowledge. They only base on what their leader said. So that is how I don't want to say gullible human beings are, but that is how committed
mm,
followers are to their leaders. I was actually reading a story about Rakwena. You know Rakwena when he started up her Holy Spirit movement, which we can also say she was a pastor. In her army, she had generals that were in UNLA, the former Obote and Rutwa's army. These were people that were trained soldiers, but they are following a woman who is telling them that when you throw a stone, it is going to explode as a bomb. So,
mm,
so, so, as a leader or as a pastor, you're not supposed to dive. You're not supposed to leave that room because the moment you bring out a new theory or a new route, those people are going to follow you. So, as a leader, you're not expected to make any mistake because you're going to mislead masses that are following you. So,
mm,
me, that is the thing I wanted to connect with Ellen G. White. So you make one mistake like this, then you mislead so many people that are following you because you're the campus holder, you're the one who has the map, and you're the one who knows where the route is. Thank you.
mm. Okay. Thank you so
So that
much.
applies that applies to the pastors. And I know these discussions comes maybe from what has been happening in the news about Kayanja. We also had this another problem with us in Anglican Church. But I think when you're a leader, and this is one thing that everyone who is in leadership position, whether at work you're a manager, whether at home as a father, I think that there are certain things you have to make sure, because there's so many people that are looking at your back and they are just following your footsteps. So whatever
mm,
Kayanja is doing is so bad. Is so bad. If he's doing it if it is actually happening, it is really, really bad. Because you see, a time is going to reach when he's going to run out of luck and Kayanja is going to be arrested. So you can imagine the father of the Pentecostal movement, if he's arrested, the people that is going to throw in the ocean just because of his actions. So I think to some extent, as a leader, as a pastor, you have to put down your selfish intentions, your selfish means, and then you look at a bigger picture. Because whatever Kayanja is doing, you have a church of 4,000 people. Yes, this is a habit, as your habit that you're struggling with, but you're not looking at the other 4,000 people that are following you. You're not looking at pastors that have become pastors because you're their mentor or they are looking up to you, and now you're leading such a massive group, but you just want to throw it in what, in the sea, because of what, because of your personal reasons. So that thing that pastors, leaders, and all that, I think it's actually a message, that whenever we are up there and we have people that are following us, we ought to follow principles that are not going to make people stumble. Of course, now like for Ntagari's case is a bit different from Kayanja, because whereas both of them are considered immoral, but in Tagari, the institution is bigger than him. So an individual is a smaller part of it. So if one individual falls, the institution continues. But for people like Kayanja, the institution is built around you. People are actually not following what you're teaching. Some people are even not following the Bible. Some people are just seeing that figure Kayanja. They think Kayanja is God's friend, and whatever he says is coming from
but
God.
but it comes back to the same thing what you're saying. If Untagali belongs to the Anglican institution, then Kayanja himself, you have actually packaged him as an institution himself. So it's the same thing.
And Kati, you see, whereas
Mm,
whereas whereas Ntagari can make a mistake and he gets away with it, because when Ntagari falls, me
mm,
as an Anglican, I am an Anglican. I am following religious systems and doctrines.
mm,
Whereas people in Kayanja's church might be there not because of religious systems in Miracle Center. They might be there because of Kayanja. I don't know what happened to this church of Mbizayo, if it is still existing. If it is still existing.
the
So
son took over.
the son took over
Mm,
and people are still going there.
yes.
Okay, then that's actually very interesting. I actually thought that it had fallen, but
Mm,
I mean that is my point. And then now the last one,
mm,
when you see how in our society,
mm,
you guys can confirm this. Do you know the firstborns
mm,
usually receive the harshest treatments in a family,
mm,
because the parents are very sure that these are the pathfinders of the followers. So you
mm,
find that the firstborn is one that is beaten, that is one that is made to work harder,
mm,
because they have to make sure that this leader is properly aligned. And
mm,
when you also look at the Bible, you see that David, who is considered as a great leader with so many mistakes, but then you see God is really, really punishing him. At some point, he commits adultery, produces a child, then God has to kill that child. Then at some point, over he counted people, then God was very annoyed with him and he had to punish it. So he keeps coming to, so God, even when you see in the Bible, God does not allow those mistakes when it comes to a leader. He
mm,
is very, very, very serious when it comes to mistakes made by leaders. I think even Moses was also facing the same harsh treatment from God whenever he would make unnecessary mistakes. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you so much, Rutembana. That was very interesting, and I need to I need to do a recap for those who have just joined. David Insaba, you're welcome. Normally, when we have a new person here, we give you an opportunity to say hello. And David Nasaba, yes, David Nasaba, not Insaba. David Nasaba, can you hear us? Okay, switch on your microphone and say hello. Good,
Hello,
good. You're welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the welcome we get.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you. The Most Honorable Reverend Nicholas Mukwana, you had hated us for a very long time. Have you forgiven us, Doctor?
No hate, no hate. Actually, I'm very happy to be back. I have been engulfed by the cares of this world, and I was
Oh,
almost suffocating. But by the grace of God, I am back. And if there will be opportunity, I would love to respond to my brother Simwe.
okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Mukwana. Long time. We interpreted the silence as hatred, but it's good to have you here. Then also the regular and the existing Reverend Tangazo. Are you there? Are you driving? You normally disorganize us with your evening drivings back home. Hey, Reverend Tangazo, wait, he'll be coming. For him, I'm sure. Anytime bumping. Good. So Omuchwezi Rutembana has actually warned all of you leaders. And for today's topic, we are focusing on pastoral leadership and pastors here. He has warned you that you have to be careful with what James said, that you have to understand that whoever is a leader will be judged harshly. That is what James told us in his epistle. And it is what Omuchwezi has re-echoed by reminding us that whoever is a leader must understand that they will be judged harshly, and then he gave us examples. Then he also reminded us that there are leaders who are under institutions and then leaders who are institutions themselves. So sometimes people like Intagali might get away with it. I don't know how they got away with it, because I think there were people who were victimized by the fall, if that was a fall, of Ntagali. Anglicans who believed in him as a man, not actually just as Anglicanism in the institution, but the man in Tagali had inspired many, and many were heartbroken by what happened to him. And I think it's the same thing that happens again with the Kayanjas, who actually pose as institutions themselves. And many actually are hurt by his wars in that matter. So that is what Muchwezi actually has presented. And I think he has actually presented a very, very important and serious matter, which we leaders must understand. Which we leaders must understand. Well, for some of us, it is too late. We have fallen like 1,000 times, and we are still here by the grace of God. But at least for those who have not been victims, I think the warning from Omuchwezi Rutembana is paramount. So, Dr. Nicholas, you wanted to participate in all that Rutembana has said, but again, you also have other ideas. We missed you so much. We are so blessed to have you back. Yes, Doctor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, my brother. I want to thank Asimwe for his opinions that he shared. I love his boldness in handling certain issues, and yes, I agree with him. Most, if not all, but most Pentecostal churches are built around individual charisma, individual talent. You look at the example of the Church of Light of the World. Nansana, Pastor Bugembe. You look at Miracle Center churches, they're all built on individuals. So that is also right. I agree with him. But I don't agree with him on about 4 issues. Number one, Pastor Kayanja is not the founder of Pentecostal movement, as he stated, because Pentecostal movement starts way back in America. But even if he meant Uganda, even in Uganda, it doesn't start with Kayanja. I think it starts with the Elimu Church and even the Great Awakening from Anglican Church. People who did not want to continue with the religion of the Anglican, the ones that moved on. And Elimu is actually the oldest Pentecostal church in Uganda. And there are other Pentecostal churches that have strong systems, institutions like Deliverance Church, Full Gospel churches. Those have systems. I think Presbyterian Church, Methodist Church, the Baptist Church, they have very strong institutions. That's number one. Number two, I think my brother would have put it the other way around, that one who comes from a strong institution does not go away with it. The other one who is built around himself goes away with it. Because you saw that the Anglican Church actually brought Ntagali to confess publicly but Kayanja has never. And if it's true that he commits those things, then he has gone away with them for a very long time. So it is the other way around. The one who is under an institution does not commit a sin and goes away with it. It's the one who has made himself an institution that keeps going away with it. The other, number 3, is when my brother said that that God punishes leaders harshly. I still want to say God does not punish leaders. It is just in the laws of nature. If you're a leader and you err, it is in the laws of nature that your punishment is harsh. You look at leaders in the political arena and all other organizations, even if you're a head teacher, even if you're a lead of the witch doctors and you err and you are known, the punishment is really harsh, not necessarily from God. God does not punish us for our sins. He actually punished one person, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, the one who was punished for all our sins and nailed them on the cross. So our sins we commit, we suffer the consequences as it is in nature, not from God. I've heard that reasoning very much, that God killed this one, God punished this one. If God really would do that, personally, if my brother Peter was online, he would tell you he would not be alive. And I could agree with him. I would even wonder if I would be alive. God does not punish us the way my brother put it. The other issue that I feel strongly that I should comment about is that the Pentecostal movement lost focus so many years ago, right from America, where it starts. Its focus is on money and fame. So whatever comes in between money and fame must be fought without fear and favor. And that is exactly what Pastor Kayanja is doing. Because
but leadership is possible between the two, because politicians are also after money and fame and power, but they are still credible leaders in politics. How would you go about that?
Yeah, yes, the difference is in what is widely known about politics. It is easy for a politician to lie and goes away with it because it lies associated with the politics. But when you put on that cloth of a religious leader And the way the picture has been portrayed, that a religious leader is a holy person, is close to God, is perfect, such things, when we hear that they are happening to you, you lose credibility, and therefore you lose your fame, you become infamous, and you also lose, and that means you're going to lose your money. So what Pastor Kayanja is doing right now, if it is true that those things are true, is to fight for his fame and therefore maintain money. And in contrast with Intagali, I am not sure whether this was institution-driven or is a personal conviction, but I did share with my brother Peter and said, Intagali, if he broke very many people's hearts, he also built them, because he took a step of never denying and never defending himself.
Did
He
he have
just
an
said,
option?
yeah, that's what now we don't know whether whether it because the institution is so strong or it is a personal drive. Now that is what we may never know. But I want to take the latter, that was a personal conviction and that was the right thing to do, as opposed to Kayanja, as opposed to our brother here, Avizayo, his soul rest in peace, as opposed to this gentleman here, Bujingo. They will always fight to protect their image, even when they are wrong. I thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We missed you so much. Thank you for coming back. We hope you will stay for a longer time. Okay,
I will do my best to stay.
good, good. Thank you so much. Rutembana, in case you want to come back for any point, that's okay. I'll be welcoming you. For now, I'd like to welcome Chisto Stanley. Thank you. This is your third, fourth time here. And my brother Manzi, you're welcome again. It's good to have you here. And then brother Pierre. I think that is the pronunciation of the name. Pierre. All right. Good. Thank you so much for being here. Tembana, 1, 2, 3. You want to say
Hey,
anything? Yeah.
no, I agree with what Professor is saying. But
Yes.
me, what I'm trying to communicate is that leadership
Yes. It's
is
a serious
not a
person.
joke. Yes, it is
Mm.
not a joke, and it doesn't give room for any error.
Mm.
So my concern is that if we're discussing like what Kayanja is doing, me I told you, yes, you might be having your own desires, but you need to look at the people that you're carrying, because if Kayanja is put in prison, because you see, is only surviving, maybe it is not true, but the moment Kayanja is convicted, how many people is he going to throw in the sea? And we're only talking about Kayanja, but probably at some point maybe you also be in such positions where you find that there are so many people that are looking up to you. So the question of that responsibility that comes with leadership is not a joke. Now, my Bible quotations, I was just looking at the examples, but you can see that the best leaders in the Bible that we see God coming harsh on them because he wants to make sure that he aligns them. And
At least verbatim, you are right, because that is what the scriptures say. You are right.
yes. And and you can see how he's actually very,
The,
very
the doctor,
tough
the
on
doctor
these
was
best
trying,
leaders.
the doctor was trying to give you the theological bite behind those verses, but categorically, what the scriptures state is what you have stated here.
Yeah. So
Mm.
the best leaders, they have really had passed through uh funnels to refine them and make them very good. That's the
Okay.
communication I was trying to
Thank
say.
you. Your point was laid properly. Jethro Msokensamba, do you think that in our understanding of who a pastor is, we have mystified them so much that has resulted into the magnification of their sin when they fall?
Yeah, if I may start with your question,
Yeah,
the short
yes.
answer is yes.
Mhm.
We have mystified our pastors. We have magnified them. We have created idols of them, actually. And therefore, we hold them at a, I mean, they are slightly above us. And it doesn't help matters when you hear some people's pastors. You know, we define the word pastor at the beginning. So it doesn't help matters when you hear some people's pastors going to heaven thrice a week, or WhatsApping God and things like that. So in a way, we have created an image of pastors that is almost next to God. They are almost deputy Jesus. For me, that is the first problem. But like I always say, God did not send angels from heaven to us. He sent fellow sinners to us. So these pastors, all the people we call our pastors, are our fellow sinners. In many
I lost
cases, they even
you.
more.
Am I alone? Okay.
Oh, you can't hear me? I can hear you. Strange.
Yeah, your network switched somewhere. Okay, please continue.
Yeah, so I was saying, God never sent angels to minister to us. At least
Yes.
today, we're fellow human beings
And he's
who
not
minister
about.
to us. These human beings, the last time I checked, these are fellow sinners. They've only been given the privilege of being our pastors or being our shepherds. Naturally, because they're humans, they're going to fail at certain things because they're not perfect, as we know. Because we ourselves, who are even holding them to that standard, they're not perfect. In fact, sometimes we hold them to a standard which even we ourselves cannot keep, just because they are pastors. So I wanted to start from that point and say that these are fellow sinners. It is true in our world, leaders generally, I think it's Dr. Mukwana who alluded to that. Leaders generally are held to a higher standard. But for me, that then creates hypocrisy at some level. Because these guys are held to a higher standard, so they are forced to cover up their multitude of sins when they sin.
Rutemban
Right?
asks you, shouldn't we hold them to a higher standard? Why should we actually hold them to the same standard as we are? That's what
Actually, I think we should not. I think we should not hold them to a higher standard because they are fellow sinners. For me,
But they are our
if you
leaders.
have,
We're talking about leadership, the office. That's what Rutembana is actually yelling about.
the
The office.
office is occupied by an individual. It's not an abstract thing. It is an individual sitting in that office, and this individual is going to fail at something. Honestly, the question is, we do not even extend the same grace to our pastors that we extend to ourselves. That is my argument.
Why do you have to take the office if you know you are still weak and on our level? Why don't you just excuse
That
yourself
is why in institutions like organized religion, because they know individuals are weak, they put structures around them to support. In fact, in some religions, I will not mention, they even hide, they try and cover this guy's sins. If a guy messes up, they will not publicize, they will just handle it internally and probably transfer him or deal with him internally because they know this is an individual.
We will come to that point. We will come to that point of publication. But you are making your point that these are individuals like us.
Yes. And therefore, it is unfair to hold them to standards which they cannot humanly meet.
Okay, Mans wants to give you some information. No. Temana, hold it. Let me hear from this guy on the border. Then I'll call you.
I hope we can talk. I hope the phone is not snatched.
I hope not too much wind. Just quickly, I want to bring something very small.
Okay.
Because First Timothy chapter 3 gives us the qualification of elder. You can tell them you read things. The first one is anyone aspires the office of overseer. It is there than the better. Therefore, an overseer must be above the growth. The husband of one wife. So by my instinct, so that idea of
okay. Maz, we are struggling to hear you. Please first settle. But I think his point, I think his point, Jethro, you picked some of it. His point.
What I heard, heard First Timothy chapter 3.
Yes.
Let me quickly go through it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Qualifications of overseers. This verse 1, this is a faithful saying. If a man desires the position of a bishop, desires a good work. Verse 2, a bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one, temperate, sober-minded, of good behavior, hospitable, able to teach, not given to wine, not violent, not greedy for money, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not covetous, one who rules his own house, well, having his children in submission with all, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
For me, this is an interesting one because
Yes.
the fact that these rules are even given automatically means there was already a problem in this society. The fact that they had to set these standards means the whole place was a mess.
The verse is there to guide the selection committee.
Yeah, but you see, from what they are selecting from, they're already, I mean, crooked people. You can see the criteria. Anyway, I guess Manzi will come back later to defend that point.
Sure. I wish he settles you. And
Yeah, but for me, even in spite of First Timothy chapter 3, I still insist that even those qualifications are for a human being who is a sinner ultimately.
Okay.
So we're going to fail.
That's why Rutemana doesn't want to let you off the hook before you go.
Rutemana, yeah, come in and
Jet,
yes.
I am not disagreeing with what you're saying, but we are talking about responsibility, and what we are saying is if you're Kayanja, you made this mistake in 2006, and it went away. Why don't you drop the habit? That is what we're saying.
For Kayanja's case, I know you have insisted on this case. The case is still in court. As far as I know, there's no there's no verdict that has been given by the court. So we can presume he's still innocent until he's pronounced guilty.
Okay. What I'm saying, if a reader, Jet, what I'm saying, if a reader has
Jet, you're going to hide behind the law. Okay. Continue.
If a reader
to be fair to the man who's not here to defend himself,
Oh, absolutely.
If a reader has fallen short, what we're saying, readers will always make mistakes, but what we're saying is that you have to make sure that you stop committing that same mistake again. And yes, people will forgive you. But if you continue making the same thing again, then it will be considered as a habit. Yeah, I'll give an example of a pyramid. The base is so big, and majority of us are there. In fact, close to what to 90% of human beings are there. Then we have the apex, which has very few people, and those few people are there either by choosing, because now that's also another debate of whether we are born leaders or we are made leaders. But that apex has fewer people. Now, by the time you climb from the base to the middle to the apex, you have been refined and you've gone through that process. So when you are the apex, we expect you to display a certain level of behavior in society as a leader, because you're carrying an entire country. Now, like, just imagine you're Museveni, you're carrying an entire country on your shoulders.
Jethro agrees to that, and then he asks, does leadership mean perfection?
No, it doesn't mean perfection, but also it doesn't provide for mediocrity.
Jethro coming.
Because let me tell you what we know. I think we've actually talked about leadership before. What we know is a leader will make a mistake. That is guaranteed. Pastor, president, minister, and so on. They will make a mistake at some point. But yes. I guess maybe this will be for the second part of the discussion, where we go into whether we publicize it, how do we handle it? If it is repeat behavior, what do we do? I think that is now coming up. But what we are establishing is people are going to make mistakes in those offices. Pastors, reverends, bishops, whatever. Even that criteria of First Timothy chapter 3, those guys selected will make mistakes. They may be husbands of one wife, and I don't know, not given to drunkenness and things like that, but they will make some mistakes. By omission or even commission, yes. So there's no perfection you expect from a human being. A human being, the human heart is deceitful above all things. Yeah, these guys, of course, the responsibility is big. I'm not saying it's a small responsibility. Leading, I think Isaiah normally says, rather lead 100 cows than one human being. It is tough. Many times I actually feel sorry for pastors because it is a tough thing they're doing. Very tough. A slight mistake, even the things we do ourselves, we shall hold them to this standard, which even we can't meet. That's my point. That's my point.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Pierre, can you say hello?
I wish Manzi could speak. I wanted to hear his. He has dropped off.
He has dropped off. He's still traveling,
Okay.
but I'm sure when he settles, he will come in. Pierre, can you say hello? Okay. Okay. Chizito, can you speak? I normally want to, yes.
Yes.
You've been listening in. Do you have any view so far?
Actually, since that I joined when the discussion had already started.
Yes.
But again, being a pastor or being somebody leading a church, you have brought up something that is so essential to listen up and know. And of course, as pastors, we also experience such downfalls. But maybe most of the thing is that sometimes maybe some do not have role models that they follow, or again, what has come within ministry, because you have talked about the two issues, because I'd heard of that of Intagali, I'd heard of Kayanja, but there are those who are serving because those who are having higher positions, they are protecting them, because there is a reverend that I know that they chased. But again, there is somebody whom they just lowered by giving him another small church, more than from a parish church to a single church. So sometimes this is difficult to understand. But my view on this issue, that the pastor also sins. And yes, just that sometimes people forget that they are in such a role, but they need to repent themselves over what they have done. So many issues happen and you have to repent. We just look at the big issues that make you leave the church. There are those who are just in embezzlement of funds and they are left. Then there are those who are in sexual immorality, whom have been warned by that sexual immorality. Some are known, some are not known. So the bad thing is we only see the one who is known. So for me, what I see is that as individuals, or as people now who have come to know this, maybe we need to talk to pastors such that they also have people that they can really express themselves to and be guided and know that, yes, this is happening, but you have fallen away from the glory of God, because the Bible states this clearly, that all have sinned. They never mentioned that this or who. They said all have sinned and went short of the glory of God. Meaning that the same process that another sinner comes back to God is the same process pastors should also undergo through. Just at being that you are at the top, for me, I was looking at the manager. If a manager misbehaves, will be chased. But again, the way where they have chased him, they have not disqualified his qualification of being into such positions. So you find that he's employed somewhere because they don't know what has happened to their side where he was. And this literally has happened. Those who have fallen short in the Church of Uganda, you find them holding independent churches, now the Pentecostal churches. To some.
Okay, but do you think that pastors have been harshly judged than other
to a
sinners?
certain extent, pastors have been harshly handled, because there are somewhere you see that maybe this person will have been put into rehabilitation, so that they get to understand what they have fallen into and the challenges that they are in. But merely they are left to the world. Actually, there is a certain Buddhist who was told, "Gendo no nyama so gam kama boligaraba, you come back," and guess what?
Go and seek the eyes of the Lord. When you find them, come back and minister. Okay.
So boligaraba, you will be back. Imagine, So then there are
Yagalaba.
issues. My friend. He's left the world. Actually, there is one I know who is in Kalere. He's a witch doctor, but he was a lay reader. Then there is one who foreign, and now he's in Chiumu village, this side of ours, Asomba Manda.
Oh dear.
And then actually there is one also in Kalaji, is now riding a border.
Okay. Thank you, Stanley. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Dr. Mukwana, you have an image here of, it's good that Reverend Tangazo is here. But before Tangazo, Dr. Mukwana, do you think pastors are victims here? Because Stanley has actually painted another picture. They are harshly judged. They have now turned to be victims. Of course, they sinned. He's not defending their sinning, but he's saying that the judgment is so harsh. Meanwhile, Utembana is saying they have to understand the nature of the office. When you are at the top, bear the fire and the pressure. Do you think pastors victimize the sinners?
Thank you, Chair. I don't think so. Here in this debate, I see a clash of ideologies. I see JET standing for realism and Tembana is standing for idealism. And the idealism has been perpetuated to sound like the reality. So the pastors are not harshly judged. They are just judged based on the standard that was set by religion and by themselves. It's more like being a legislator. You legislate a law and it catches up with you in the course of your service. What JET is trying to say is that people should understand that whether you are a bishop, whether you are the archbishop, whether you are the pope, you remain human 100%. It's more like having a head prefect among students. A head prefect is in no way more superior.
Dr. Mukwana, some of our pastors go to heaven 3 times a week. How do you expect such a man to fall in these petty sins that we fall in? I am representative.
Exactly. Those are the ones who have set a standard for themselves they cannot meet. Therefore, when they are judged, they are not judged harshly. They are not because they have set a standard of appearing like they are close to God, they are friends with God, they talk with God, and when things backfire, that's what JET stated clearly, that it promotes hypocrisy, because they are going to fight tooth and nail to continue portraying a picture of being holy or being perfect, but when they are not. And my brother Asimwe is reasoning from a religious point of view. Religion believes that somebody can be holy. That's why they take vows. They take vows and say, I will do this, I will do that. One time I was talking to Peter about vows. The day I discovered about vows, I even denounced the ones I took when I was marrying my wife, because I discovered I was making things I cannot adhere to. I cannot. But because the script has been set, we walk into it and then live the rest of our lives being hypocritical, trying to cover up. But if people can understand that the pastor who is there also has feelings, can stand on the pulpit, pray, but again admire girl at the same time, if they know that, then the judgment will not be as harsh as it is. So personally, I agree with the JET 100%.
Tangazo wants to give you information.
Okay.
No.
Ngazo yetala babuwala abuulira tala babuwala butulawo maaso.
No, I was in a conversation with actually Sali Bwomu, Tina Bishop Joy twogera naye. Nga ati yeyogerera n'agamba omanyi kugera ne mujja wano ntuwa Holy Communion.
Leero tuli mu luzungu nno.
Oh, sorry. Omanyi lumbadde mutono nyena kwezo far. Sorry. So there is this bishop One time we were talking, and he highlighted, I remember him hinting on it at the pulpit, that you see, we come here and we serve you, we minister, Holy Communion comes, and many of you was addressing the ladies, come here with your cleavage carelessly. And when we are giving you Holy Communion, we want to look the other way. That you've already set the trap. Then he said, what do you expect us to feel and think when we see? Then some people might know him. One time he came actually, and he put off his what are they called, robes, and remained in a t-shirt. And people looked at him as though he was weird. And he said, you see, when I put on this shirt, you think I've changed. I am the same person. But because you have decided that I should look the other way, have robes, have a purple shirt, when I come like this, as real as I am, you don't believe that I am real. Final example, jjagala kubanga mbadde naye ebbanga mulabye. Yagenda n'agamba, you see, we tujja wano nga twefuuyidde, we have used cologne or perfumes and sprayed ourselves. We smell a certain way. N'agamba, but the truth is we all know these are not our smells. All of you is smelling this, that. That is not your smell. And we have decided to bring this cosmetic and artificial thing that we have made about even spirituality. Ngagamba kimu nti naffe, Bishop Mulamba n'agamba naffe, tuwaba, tusobya, we sin. And I use that story to say many things. I want to say a number of things personally. You call me True Tangazo because that's what you know. But True Tangazo metamorphosed out of what you would call RZIM Uganda, Ravi Zacharias International Ministries Uganda. Yes, we were Ravi Zacharias International Uganda.
That brother also failed.
Gamba, we were.
Okay.
We were. I worked with RZM since 2015 till the time it fell. It disintegrated after the fall. Now, Christians are the poorest. We are the poorest at understanding sin and the journey of the believer. Because these expectations are not only on leaders, they're on each one of us. And there are things we have made to look like they are worse than others. The reason we are discussing Kayanja is because he has, it's a homosexual sodomy thing. And in Uganda, sodomy is, Kayanja has been here teaching false teaching. And you just watch him. Kayanja inane Holy Communion bwatunda nti awonya. Kayanja is always lying people about his anointing oil.
Doctrinal sins are not sinning.
It is sin.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That we are our Christianity is too cultural. That when someone anti abakubanga ina mukazi wakubiri twali kitute nnyo kuba ne mukyala we juzi yakola interview n'agamba sorry zize mu Luganda. Even his wife said recently in an interview ku mwasuze mutya ku NTV yagamba for her an extramarital affair by her husband cannot be a deal breaker because she made a vow or a lifetime vow. So she cannot go away just because the husband has had an affair. Believe me, it was very, it was just very telling that possibly Kayanja has done so. And she has said, Sina Jendaga. And I take Okuba Gamba Bajave Jebali, Sina Jendaga Nebukola Mutya. Coach Tegera. At least I'm not judging the guy. But if sodomy is true, it's evidence of our cultural Christianity. Why? Because Kayanja has been dealing in alcohol and wine for a long time is one of the importers wane Uganda. Bali bakwatiddeko ne consignment
They
ewa
used his
Kayanja.
house. They used his
Wacha
house.
wewe bamusumba kigo bakozesa ennyumba ye in such a locate. Omanyi eggaba, omanyi ku mwalo ennyumba yo bameka babeera n'ennyumba ku mwalo nga bakozesa batya ennyumba ye nga tamanyi.
Even the president gave him security so that they don't use his house again.
Okitegeera? You know, what I'm saying is that the man has been teaching false things and you don't complain much. You don't make a fuss out of it. The man has been doing shoddy businesses. In fact, we could call it exports, but I don't think they're exports. They're probably smuggled in, which is a sin. Okitegeera. And we haven't talked, but because of sodomy, we are talking, which I think is evidence of cultural Christianity. Ekyo kimu. I have talked about Ravi. Christianity, we are so terrible at handling what they call wounded soldiers. A Christian falling in sin, if a Christian is constantly at war against sin, against temptation, against the flesh, against the evil, the battle we are faced with on a daily basis. While actually, when a Christian falls, it's like being wounded in war, but not dead. Though the example is not sufficient, what I'm trying to say is that when a Christian falters, whether leader or not a leader, sin requires repentance. God does not condemn anyone who repents. One of the things that causes David, the story that Tembana used, one of the things that costs David his son is potentially, and I don't have to be firm on this one, I'm happy to be persuaded, potentially the murder of Uriah. Because David is squarely involved in ensuring that Uriah gets in harm's way and he dies. God is not punishing David for adultery and having many wives, because he told him, if you wanted another, I would have given you. Not so. So sigenda agenda mu ekyo naye omusaayi gwe yayuwa kyali kintu kikyamu nnyo. So ekibonerezo kijja naye ate mu mukyala y'omu in the same woman Bathsheba mwe mwava Solomon, si bwe kiri? So God is gracious in his way of punishing sin. It is we human beings culturally who will get one sin and exalt it over another. If someone will steal iron sheets meant to be given to Karimo John, and within a short time, they will be exonerated, they will be back in public office, they will be running. Okay? And then someone, and I'm using wrongdoing and sinning synonymously, but pretty much most of the wrongdoing, I think most of the wrongdoing that I'm referring to is what you would call sin. Because there is some wrongdoing, I'm not sure we will conclude, like, for example, disobeying certain laws. Someone might disobey a certain law, and they'll be treated so harshly in this country, okay? Because it displeased people who have power. So it also comes back to the nature of power that we exercise over those who do things that we culturally think are worse than the others. So we will exercise a lot of social, cultural judgment, and we will extend anger towards that person who has done something. Balaam just recently was captured dealing with a guy who had caught in an act of sodomy. Have you seen that video, any of you? How did Balaam deal with it?
You apologize and then go to the police, make a statement.
You see? So how is that different? It is an act of sodomy. But because Balaam has to get popularity, because in the next government reshuffle, chances he might not get it. Now I know I have gone into politics now. I know to market a certain narrative. Socioculturally, he can even call the CID, the head of CID, and say, there's this guy here, you know him. I have told him to apologize, to be remorseful. And then the lady on the other side of the call says, doesn't he know that he can get a motherly treatment if he accepts? You understand? So in our culture, we have mistaken Christian values and Christian standards for our mere cultural sentiments. Because what we are judging, there's no court in the UK where you're going to find Kayanja's case. In Europe, it's going to be very hard for such a case to be heard. Is it because there are no Christians? No. Because at the courts, Christian courts? No. They are secular courts. So the issue is not
the law of the land. The law of the land.
Yeah, so then Kayanja has broken the law of the land. As far as sin is concerned, he has committed the same sin as a liar and a thief and a rapist.
Reverend, finally, I need to bring in other people.
Yes.
Finally,
what I'm saying is that we are mixing two things. We are being harsh because socioculturally, that's how we look at this particular issue of sodomy.
Okay.
If it was a thief, a corrupt official in government, election petition, or an election thief, we wouldn't be behaving like that.
Focusing on this as I let you go, Reverend. Focusing on this as I let you go. If outside the social culture perspective of this sin, is homosexuality the right thing to do, regardless of the culture?
What is the what?
Regardless of the culture, is homosexuality sin or not sin?
No, that's what I said. It is a sin, just like stealing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You need to repent.
All right, thank you.
The issue is that we are over making it look like he has committed the worst sin, because in Uganda, homosexuality, anyone who wants to damage your name just has to attach you to homosexuality.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Reverend. Opio, Ariong, Opio, do you want to say something so far?
Yes, sir. Now, humanly speaking, there are things expected. There are standards expected of leaders. These leaders may set their own standards, or the led set the standards of the leaders. Now, that means we humans don't appreciate the fact that we are all fallen. There are things that we don't expect ourselves to go through, but we expect others to go through. In the case of a pastor and the laity, as a Christian, I know a pastor is as fallen as I am. Actually, I am better off than him, because a pastor has many people who are looking up to him than me. So if I sinned in some way, I would shrug it off. Maybe a pastor may not, given our standards as humans. But again, as humans, there are things that we should be ashamed of doing. In Luganda, tugamba nti oteekwa okuba ng'olina omuntu gw'oswalira. There are things I cannot do in front of my children. But if my children did the same things in front of me, I would say, I think oyo mwana. So as humans, we expect things from leaders. And if anything, if a pastor sins, he sins just like any other person may sin. But as a human being, because he's a leader, he's at the top, I look up to him, there are standards I expect him not to fall below.
Is that a fair thing to do?
It is not fair at all. It isn't.
Oh, okay.
It is not.
But Rutemana is asking you then what is the difference and what is the necessity of these leaders if we are going to esteem them in the same esteem that we render to ourselves really? Shouldn't there be an example at least?
The mere fact that you are talking of leaders means there is a failing somewhere. There are those who cannot lead. That's a weakness. That's a failure.
And
So
once you stand out, don't look like us. It would be a pity if Sandra didn't learn anything from you as her parent. That's the whole idea.
anti Musumba.
Mm.
Kabonero ka bunafu ka kulemererwa. To say so and so is the leader, me I am not. We are all created leaders. But because there is a problem,
Yes.
because of a shortcoming, some of us can lead, some of us can't.
So you who can lead, why don't you be different? That is the judgment here. We are holding you responsible for your failures.
Leaders come from within us. They are part of us. They are not different from us.
True.
Tosobola kukwata kidomola ky'amata n'okikamuliramu enniimu. Bw'omala okukikamuliramu enniimu n'ojjako tampeko emu n'ogiteeka wali ebbali n'ogamba nti eno tegenda kufa, gali mu kidomola gagenda okufa. Kiba kya bwewuusa ekyo.
Okay.
Leaders are us.
Thank you very much. So basically you are saying that the same measure we use to judge ourselves should be the same measure we use to judge our leaders. Because
Exactly.
Okay. But you see, we thought that now that you are our leader, you are different, you have some magical powers, we have mystified you, OHT were honorable. So because we address you as honorable, we expect you to behave like...
The mere fact that you are calling me your leader, and yet by design you are a leader yourself, means you have given away your role of leadership, and that is a sign of failure.
Obanza tawulira. Am I on alone or even others cannot hear?
I thought my internet had gone. Okay. I think Isaiah has dropped off, guys. Let me just take over briefly. Bob, I hope you've been following. We are talking about the issue of pastors sinning. Should they be judged by the same standards like the rest of us? Some people here are saying they should be called to a higher standard. It's a pity we lost Manzi earlier, who had given us 1 Timothy chapter 3, which gives the criteria for being an overseer, man of one wife, not given to drunkenness, control of his household, and so on and so forth. But yeah, Bob, let me give you a chance to say something.
Yeah,
I know you'll drop off.
I've come on briefly, so let me use this chance because I may drop off. But I think my submission, I don't know what the rest have submitted, but generally I think any leader, not only a pastor, any leader, whether you are in a political office, you are in a religious office, in this particular case we are discussing pastors, they are called to a higher standard. It is not that they do not sin, but they are called to be at a better behavior than the rest. Why? Because they are leading a flock of people into, they're the ones who are talking about the morality of everything. The example we can also give is, remember, if a president, let's say, there are criteria that they use for you to stand in a place of the highest, for example, office in the land, if you have ever been put in prison, you're not allowed to even your history is dirty. In a nutshell, people are looking up to the Musumba. People are looking up to this pastor. So he has to be better at his game. He should not be found doing anything that is going to lead others into trouble because they are following him. Remember, we always say they were followers of so and so, followers of Paul, followers of Jesus. If Jesus did something wrong, it's likely that other people say, "Oh, if Jesus did it, then I can also do it." So it's just setting an example for the rest to follow. So we call them at a higher standard. Yet, at the background, as we've said, they are sinners like us. So, and once they go into such thing. That's why church bring in these issues of, okay, can you step down? Because now, people can no longer look to you for proper leadership. You're going to lead them astray. Now, if a Musumba impregnates everyone in the church choir, what do you expect the audience to do? And the youth going to, or other men in the church going to also impregnate everyone around, and they think it's okay. So that is my submission on that. In particular example
Thank you,
for
Bob.
what we're talking about for Kayanja, I'll just mention that I don't know what these people who went to court, whether these boys were minors or they were adults. Otherwise, nabo beetaaga kusiba, because if homosexuality is a sin in Uganda, is breaking the law, then even those who are going there nabo beetaaga kuggalirwa as the investigation go on, because if they consented to the act, oba bamuwaabira butabasasula, it's a funny thing. Unless they were minors, then they have a case to drag Kayanja into the whole thing that he forced them into it. But if they were adults and they were not raped, then nabo beetaaga kuggalira, because they were all involved in the evil act as
Thank
far
you,
as
Bob.
Uganda is concerned. That's my submission. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. We are quickly running out of time. I want to bring in those who have not had a chance to speak, but I want us to pivot to something about how to handle a pastor who has fallen in sin. Okay. Now, of course, we defined who a pastor is. We've talked about the higher standard or the higher calling that Bob has also been alluding to, and so on and so forth. But now, in these last few minutes, I want to pivot into what should we do when a pastor falls in sin. Okay, of course, there are two schools of thought. One says expose. In fact, there are even congregations in this, at least in this country, that do this. They come and announce publicly, Pastor so and so has done ABCD, and for that reason, he's going to step down, so on and so, either for a particular period of time or permanently. Okay. Other institutions, like I alluded to in my first submission, they handle it internally. You may just not see the priest again, for example. they may transfer him, they handle it internally to protect their reputation, obviously, among other reasons. Because, like Bob has said, leaders are called to a higher standard. And when a leader falls, it can easily have a ripple effect on the other believers. So, Edward, I see your microphone on. I hope you can speak. What should we do for pastors who fall in sin? Should we expose them publicly? Should we put them on the front page of the newspapers? Should we hold a big crusade and announce, or should it be handled differently? Edward, can you speak in the interest of time? Maybe not. Who else? Joshua, can you speak? What's happening?
And I would like to know whether that is Joshua Biencha or is a different Joshua.
I wonder. And he has also dropped off.
Okay.
He has dropped off, unfortunately. Okay, who can speak, guys? How should we handle pastors who fall in sin? Should we, Francis, you've been quiet. Are you following? Can you speak?
Yes, I'm following.
Yeah, what do you say about handling these matters? Should we handle them privately? Should we expose them?
I think we should we should handle them humanly. And personally, I feel if my pastor is in sin, I would first of all look at him as a human being, and I would love to treat him the way I would love to be treated if I was in the same position. So if I was in an embarrassing sin, and I wouldn't like it to be exposed to the public, to those who I'm leading or anything like that. If there is some degree of secrecy about the sin, I should like it to be kept that way. As I'm wounded, I would like to heal in a way which I'm not embarrassed, and not only me, but even my family or anything else. So even I would apply this very, very standard to my pastor. So pastors should be treated that way. Their sin should be kept in secret as much as possible, so that
Okay.
the human dignity and the healing
Recording in
comes
progress.
faster. Then also pastors should be past- pastors should be handled secretly. Their sin should be handled secretly, because as Bob said, that it's they're held at a higher standard, and by exposing their sin publicly, and their healing or even their punishment, whatever they're trying to put right, you are hurting the faith of the believers, or even the how the believers see God and perceive God. And so it's for both public and private reasons of the pastor, it should be handled privately, basically, and
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Francis.
gently. Actually, there shouldn't be much punishment around it, because they were all prone to sin. There should be some management. It should be more of management than even punishment of sin. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. That's an interesting one. Bob, your hand is up. I know you'll drop off at any time. Let me give you a chance.
Yes, I'm just going to be quick, and I just beg to not to agree with what has been submitted in regards to handling things quietly. I'm going to put a caveat that is going to depend on the issue of where they have gone wrong. If you have a pastor ng'ekiro agenda nga kondo ayingira na mayumba g'abantu n'agabba, then you get to know, oba mussi w'abantu, oba mukwasi w'abakazi. Now, these are really, there's safety concerns to the community, and such people need to face justice, need to be locked away from public for a while until they reform, because people usually repeat the same kind of things. Okay, let's give an example. I mean, this is not true, but let's assume that let's say the pastor Kayanja mukwasi w'abaana abato, homosexuality and all that, and forces them. If you handle that privately, and it's true, it has come out to be true, you don't know who the next victim is going to be, because these sins are always repetitive. That's why they get people, lock them away. If they think they've reformed, they bring them back to society. So I'm going to make a statement that what has been submitted previously should have a caveat. What type of sin? Did he still?
Bob, privacy does not mean excuse from responsibility or being accountable.
And that's what I'm saying. That okay, maybe I missed that, because the way he said you handle quietly. No, the person has to face consequences depending on, and sometimes you have to move them from society so that
But
others are safer. Yes.
Bob, there are some acts that are not against the law, but then they are morally wrong religiously. For example, what Ntagari did, he didn't do anything, and he didn't break any law, but then it was morally wrong.
Yes.
If a priest marries, if a priest has a girlfriend, a Catholic priest has a girlfriend, he hasn't done anything against the law, but then he has done morally. So what I think what Francis was meaning, for those actions that are morally wrong in religious cases, let them handle them privately. Then the ones that you're talking about, which are against the law, that justice should take what? Should take its course.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what I was saying too. That's why I gave
what I was saying
examples
exactly.
which were
Thank you,
way
Bob.
off, like kondo, aso muntu, akwasa omwana. That's why I brought all those outrageous ones.
Yeah, moderate.
So, thank you, Bob. Who's calling me? Is it Tom?
Yes.
The real moderator is back. No, Isaiah is back. So back to you, Isaiah.
Your question was, how do we handle a pastor who has been caught sinning? The very straight answer comes by question. How would I want to be handled if I am caught sinning? The same way
Yeah,
I
I'm
would.
a pastor. A pastor is held to a higher standard. That's what people have said here. So don't put
Standards
yourself in
set
the
by, standards set by who?
by
Because
the people you're reading.
I
By
don't
the
think
institution.
Probably.
I don't think those standards are set by God. Those standards
And then
are set.
is that no wrote the Ten Commandments?
Well, it depends on
Those standards are set by people who sin the same way the pastor is sinning, because the pastor is also a person. But maybe because they are careful and not caught, they are better off.
Ariong, thank you so much. Pierre, your hand is up finally. We called you earlier on, and yes, Pierre, can you switch on your mic?
Yeah, sorry. I was in transit on a very noisy bike. I didn't even hear the call out.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
And I want to appreciate the thoughts shared here. It's a lot to learn. Yeah, but again, that question depends on what standard has been set, and if it's a Bible believing church, it's really clear for what qualifies. I think Manzi hinted. I had Manzi hint on that. Second Timothy.
Yes.
So
Manzi
there are
gave us the
qualifications,
definition.
Titus and Timothy. Yes. So if those qualifications are, if they are broken, okay, there's a sense in which you are still a believer, but you cannot lead by God's standard. And that's why the priest in the Old Testament had very, very tough standards. There's a reason for that. Yes, there's a reason for that. It's not random that a representative for God to his people has to have a certain level of separation. So we are all human beings, but we are not the same, because the destinies of many souls are in his hands. He's influencing people for the sake of heaven. So if he has a blemish, that has the power to hinder people from seeing Christ, in a sense. So that shouldn't be light, in a sense. The way it's handled can matter. I don't believe in public shame, but I believe in accountability. Let the people who must know and own up. Restoration has to be a process. It's not that you sin today, it's public, and then the next weekend you're preaching. You're going to offend the people who know that you are continuously sinning, and then you're standing in front of them to preach to preach righteousness when you're living a double standard. So I think we have to uphold the biblical pattern for the leader. And there's a caution for people who want to be leaders. Not many of you should be leaders. It's there. It's a caution which most likely the leaders, the pastors, the priests know very well, even in their ordination.
Pierre, after knowing the caution, would you want to be a leader?
I would be very, very slow. I would be very cautious. Because it's tough. It's really, really tough. Just talk to your reverend or your pastor.
Rutembana was telling us to avoid these things after reading the caution, to be careful. Go there when you are ready. Well, Edward Oming is asking you, Rutembana, because you were on that committee that harshly judged the Archbishop. Do you think you handled the matter of Untagali right, in the right way? Rutembana?
For Untagali, I think it was not handled very well for the public image. And I think, whereas, yes, you want to enforce a certain law, but you also have a public image for the institution to protect. So I think it was handled badly. One, the man had retired. Two, what he had committed, like we have said, was not unlawful in the laws of the country. So I think it was not handled well, and I think some institutions are doing much better in terms of PR when it comes to such incidences.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Stanley, do you think the social media is handling the matter of Pastor Kayanja in the right way? Before you come in with your information, start with that.
Anyway, when it comes to social media, they are exposing and everybody is using their own way, because you never know, those on social media, they have their own desire and a point. Others, they are in content creation, and others want to see the downfall of such a big person.
Thank you.
So I may not say literally that what they are doing is good.
You
It
had
is
your
bad.
point. You had your point. Make your point that you wanted to make.
So my point was on the way how Ntagali's issue was handled. Yes, we would have assumed that it was handled in a bad way, but it took time to be exposed. Maybe it was at a time when the other lady was going into what? Into public and into news, and the church had to stand out and come out with a voice, and maybe by declaring him like that.
Okay.
And even,
Stanley,
for what we got inside, yes.
Stanley, you see, we the public, whatever information that we're fed in, there's always that degree of doubt. That's why you see, right now, you cannot be sure if Kayanja is guilty. Now, in Ntagali's case, they should have let the girl report. And then the man denies. Because
But
no one has the
because
but the man confessed. Your man confessed.
The woman
they
had
forced
already
him to
snatched away
confess.
almost
He was under
retirement
duress.
that was given
Yes,
to
he was
Ntagali.
coerced to confess. He was entrusted to confess. Because they should have let the woman. They should have let the woman report, and then the man denies. He's like, "Me, I don't know that woman. She's just a mad woman."
But the woman approached one of the committee members. The side approached one of the committee members.
But you see, that is the mistake they made. Then the church was going to come up, is like, because when Ntagari refuses, then the church is like, we're going to look into this matter, and then the matter just dies like that. So the public.
So you wanted Ntagari to behave like Kayanja and to go in court to the extent of a DNA.
But no, what Ntagari did was not against the law.
Exactly, I understand.
But
how when he got already a married woman?
That is not Ntagari's crime. That was it is still Ntagari's crime. Adultery is a crime. Yes, you are right, Stanley.
No, but you have to prove it. It has to be proved.
Yes,
got already
the side chick had a baby, right?
Imagine.
And Ntagari was going to say, I don't know her. I've never seen her. These are just mad women.
High above than him.
Thank you so much, Ariong coming. Stanley and Rebana have left you.
Pastor.
Yes.
Mbadde njagala kulaga standards zaffe ng'abantu through this Ntagali saga.
Yes.
Omukazi was approached by Ntagali or omukazi yakwana Ntagali, whichever way it came. Byonna bisoboka. Ne beebaka naye nga bakkaanya. Oluvannyuma omukazi n'agenda aloopa. Now omutima gwe gumu, the same spirit that we as the led, we as the laity exercise is that spirit of accusing the pastor of something that we are also indulging ourselves in.
We are not a pastor, Ariong. I won't be against that point earlier on. We are not a pastor. He's the pastor.
No, what I'm saying.
Hey.
Nti Ntagali yakola ekikolwa n'omukazi. Omukazi mu kifo ky'okugamba Ntagali nti kino kye tukola si kituufu tulekeraawo. ng'omukristaayo yali bade asobola okukola ekyo
Oli musumba, oli ye musumba, nze siri musumba.
mpola nze njogera
So the
ssebo
question would have been, why not the other husband of the woman
yasalawo
that is the one who came in, over who came out with such
n'agenda
a thing, but
aloopa
the lady?
kubanga yali alowooza nti ekibi kya ntagali n'ekibi ekya ntagali kinene ekiki ekitono.
That is the understanding. Okay, fine. Bob, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
In 2 minutes or in one, who is the pastor of the pastor? Because, Bob, when you have a challenge, you go to your pastor and then you talk about it. Who is the pastor of these pastors? How do we help them? Who helps them?
These pastors need to. That's why organized institutions. Then they come in. They are more structured. There's a committee which can sit and help them and try to take them through the issue. But in our cases where we have a pastor who is the owner.
The committees normally come in as fire brigades, but I'm talking about under normal circumstances. Who is helping the man of God with his personal struggles?
Yeah, he must have a care group. In this place where in these cases where pastors are they account to themselves only, it becomes tricky. But if they have fellow pastors who they meet and talk about it, unfortunately, pastors are rivalries these days. Chiganda is a rivalry to so and so. So Chiganda cannot sit down with Kayanja over a drink or a Coca-Cola and they say, man, one on Nagua, Nkoze, but they are rivalries. They are looking at their congregations. So it becomes tricky. But again, I will still conclude that because pastors are counselors, can you imagine a situation whereby twayenze fenajo ne bankwata nawe wadde mu kikola kyekimu and then we are coming to you for counsel? This is why these people are supposed to be at, because they can give counsel objectively.
Experience is the best teacher. Yeah. Professor Selvide is here. Better late than never. Professor, can you hear us? Do you want did you gather anything of all that we say today? Do you want to say something?
Hello.
Yes.
Is my network all right now here?
Yes.
Who pastors the pastor?
Yes. And Bob has just given us a very important term, a care group.
I think we need a care group, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Because a pastor is lonely. I have an experience. In fact, this is close to another question, Pastor, which I would like to interest you in. Just not to digress. Sorry?
Our time is up. You have only 1 minute.
How many of us give our rich parents anything, or our rich brothers? The rich brothers of our family, the rich sisters and parents of our families are never given a gift.
Reality, rich.
It is always expected. No one. I'm wondering who gifts Mr. Museveni, leave alone the true gifting, not the political one. So I think we the flock need to have our attitudes transformed and renewed. To always remember that a pastor is usually lonely because we think the pastors know everything. They are theologically grounded. They're in that office. So even the wife cannot counsel the pastor. The only thing she does is to scold.
Okay. Unfortunately. Professor, thank you so much. We are sorry for your network, but your brother, Dr. Mukwana, was here. He missed you, and we are glad to have him here. Jethro Nsamba, I need you to look into this topic and look at the angles that we've missed. We need to bring back this whole thing. You can see how rich this field is, I guess. And of course, that is also to Professor Selwid, also one of our producers of these topics, etc. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Pierre. Thank you, Francis. Francis is one of our leaders here. And thank you, Ruth Rules, our listening regular post. We will be back here on Monday, but Saturday we'll be having our physical fellowships there. We normally have like 2 presentations there, so it is fun. You can always join us when you're around Kampala. Kisto Stanley, you are back again, but we are leaving. So welcome back again, and thank you for staying with us. Edward Oming, we missed your voice. Do you want to say hello? Or you can't talk? Eddie?
Yeah, thank you for having me today.
Okay, so we'll be back on Monday. We again share the same link. It is always the same link. So every time you get time on Monday and on Thursday, please join us, and we like your views. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Goodbye.